So I see fans of all of you guys over here. And now let's address the elephant in the room. I think Shark Tank is something that all of you know that these guys have come and pitched on Shark Tank. So let's start with, and whoever wants to start with. So what was your, did you get a deal? If not a deal, then did you benefit out of that whole experience? Has it, made you wiser or made you more, given a lot of visibility to your brand, and however it has kind of, made a difference?
Yeah, so we did get a deal. Aman and Piyush have signed a check. But yeah, more than check or the deal that we have signed, the best thing that we have got is the visibility. Now everybody got to know what a Garrett Motors is. Before that, maximum my mom, my dad, and maybe 3 aunties around my house knows what Garrett Motors was. And that too with a lot of insults every day. They used to call us mechanics. One of the uncle also got his scooty to get it repaired in our shed. So from there to, that the same uncle sharing that YouTube video across his WhatsApp groups is something that we have achieved through Shark Tank. So yeah.
Well, yes, we did get a deal. Those of you who not watched the show, we got it from all the 5 sharks. We became the first brand. We became the first brand to have the deal from 5 sharks, and then next day Piyush also came to know about us. So he joined the bandwagon. So we're the brand with the largest number of sharks. Sounds very exciting. Yes, it is exciting. And I want to keep it that way. But yes, the brand has grown really well thanks to Shark Tank, which gave us a great platform to display that the ice popsicle is back, ice Pepsi or Chusky is back, and thankfully the market responded great for us. Pre-Shark Tank, I proudly say we were a team of 14 people. Post Shark Tank, we are 411 today. I remember telling on Shark Tank that we were about in 600 stores across Hyderabad. Today we are close to about 20,000 stores across India. Supplying to the most toughest markets, Andaman Nicobar Islands, Jammu Kashmir, Nagaland, Mizoram. Some of the markets where we really didn't imagine that actually an ice box would be bought at a 20 rupees price point. A lot of people comment on that, I know. No questions on that. But jo acha hai, wo acha hai. People are ready to pay price, and I'm really happy that India is actually evolved to understand the difference in the value and the quality that a brand brings. So Shark Tank really gave us a push, pretty excited. Always would recommend any brands to actually try for it. No questions on that.
So it's going to be a tough act to follow this. But yeah, so yes, we did get a deal. We got a deal from Amit Jain, and I think we got probably, I'm not sure, you don't quote me on that, but I think highest for any pre-revenue company at the highest valuation, I think. Right? Yeah, pre-revenue company, I think we got the highest valuation. But for us, it's not about valuation, it's about creating value for the customer. And before Shark Tank, we are relatively new. We were founded just last year, and in the last 1 year, we have built a factory. We have designed machines that make the bike. We do the whole thing in-house. Okay? We don't buy parts, buy frames from somewhere. We have an in-house fabrication. We have an in-house paint shop. You see the bikes. The tolerances are 0.01 mm, so which is thinner than your hair, right? Those are the tolerances that we are working at. It's a very highly engineered technical product, and that's something that we have built in the last 1 year. We started with a team of 2, 23rd of May, and today we are about 45 people who are working.
So we were one of the brands that did not get a deal. So we were a team of 38 before we started. But before we went on the show, we are still a team of 38 after the show. We had substantially good revenues before the show. We have similar revenues after the show. No, but we actually don't have similar revenues. We have, of course, seen good impact of being on the show. For us, apart from direct sales, the bigger benefit has been that a lot of new revenue channels opened up after we went on the show. So for example, in the gifting space, some of you might know there's a brand called FNP, who are one of the biggest gifting portals in the country. So we've been knocking on their doors from a couple of years कोई भाव नहीं देते थे. दिल्ली वाले थोड़ा नाक ज़्यादा ऊपर रहता है anyways. But the moment we were on the show, literally the next day, we get a call, guys, we want to talk to you, we want to have your products on our platform. So that kind of stuff has really, opened up. So we were on quick commerce platforms already, but being on the show got us an extra fillip. In fact, yesterday I was in Delhi, got a chance to meet Albinder, the CEO of Blinkit, Dipinder, the CEO of Zomato, because they were looking to work with new brands. Who've gotten good traction on their platforms. So we are one of the top non-F&B sellers on Blinkit. But it's because of Shark Tank that we got that push extra on Blinkit. And now they're looking to work even more with us. So there's definitely benefit of being on the show. And like Ravi said, eyes closed. If you're a consumer-facing business especially, it makes complete sense to be on Shark Tank.
So Harsh, I met a friend today. And he has especially told me that when I meet you, I should tell you that he has been purchasing from you for a long time. So he said, he really appreciates what you're doing and he wanted to come and meet you as well, but couldn't. But so I think what all of you guys are creating is really great. So this was about, what you benefited, what you got and the limelight, etc. But obviously it was not all bed of roses, right? So you've only briefly told what you guys do, being very modest, but can each of you tell about your journey in how much ever way you want to tell, but people should kind of know that work has kind of gone behind the scenes and how you've managed to achieve what you've achieved.
I think nothing has changed in terms of work that we put into our companies on a daily basis, because last night also, like last week, so we've recently signed an MOU with Tata where we are supplying technology for their bicycles as well. It's good to clap, but last night I slept at 5 a.m. So I think that's more clap for them. So this is the journey has been the same pre-Shark Tank and post-Shark Tank, except how people perceive the brand outside. In the way also, like when we are trying to apply for Shark Tank, the persona of season 1 and the other seasons abroad was very different than what we've experienced through the journey. So while we were experiencing it, we thought it's once in a lifetime opportunity. But post that, once the facade has gone in, and the moment we realize that it's just a PR that's gonna be, and beyond that again we have to get back to our garages and start working again. All that celebrity wala feel is gone. So once in a while we come to these events, get claps and relive that moment again. But apart from that, it's the same work that we put in on a daily basis, and that's exactly how it has been going.
Yeah, no, I meant generally your journey, how you started and
For Shark Tank before, okay. My company journey. Oh, okay, that's it's gonna be a podcast rather than a panel discussion if that was the case. But anyways, I'll brief you. Engineering disappointed us, and we realized. We realized we'll end up in a call center if we don't do anything. Instead of introducing, my name is Nikhil, I'm founder of Garrett Motors, I'd be doing, hello, my name is Nikhil, how may I help you? So, this is something I didn't want to do in my life, and I started with a coffee shop, and then I met my co-founder who was Gerhard, who was very enthusiastic about automobiles, robotics, except for classes, everything we were interested in. So, we've started there, and we've started converting existing vehicles into electric. And then COVID happened, and my mom also realized that घर में खाली बैठा है बंदा, तो इसको job so we started retrofitting existing cycles into electric. That's how the journey started. But before even we got the PR, it was 3 years of really hard work into the game, where we tried to understand every bit and piece of technology, because we were highly dependent on China. And the COVID made us realize that भाई इंडिया में कुछ नहीं बनता, तो तेरे को सब लेके आना पड़ता है. And then we started doing everything in house. We burnt our hands, had a blast couple of times in our shed. So, and then we also had to deal with a police complaint by neighboring auntie. So all of these were pack and parcel of the startup journey we had. But yeah, now we've signed MOUs with one of the biggest companies in India, and now things are shaping up very well, I must say.
That song is, you know, Auntie Police Bula Legi. Probably written for you guys, right? So I started OYAPI in 2009 with my brother and my cousin Varun. Back in 2009, it was just like a hobby shop. You know, 22, 23-year-olds. Life में कुछ अलग करना है तो खुद का business शुरू करते हैं हम. So 2009 we started, failed miserably, shut down in 2011. Then 2013 again we restarted with a friend's idea that why don't you set up like a gifting / surprise shop in the airport. So we did that, and where's Devraj? Devraj is here, right? Devraj gave me a very nice heartwarming story of, you know, one of the things that we did at the airport. Probably share that later. So we did that. Second failure, we shut shop there as well within about 10 months because again, horrible business idea. We then set up our e-commerce venture, which then became our main sort of bread and butter, which we decided to pursue properly with a full-fledged business focus. Except that we did not pursue it as a business focus. We ended up again making a lot of simple mistakes, you know. Like I think the biggest learning in that particular phase was make products that customers want. Not make products that we think we are good at making or we think will, you know, that just because we like it, customers will buy. Never happens, right? So we went through a phase where, you know, we were making products which we were hearing fantastic feedback for, but nobody was buying, right? So 2016, I remember we were having a conversation with my sister, who's also an angel investor / friends and family investor in the business. And she was like, you guys need to shut down or completely pivot. So we actually had one night we decided we were going to shut down, and the next evening we sat again together and we were like, no, we're not going to give up this evening. So we again pivoted, went through a good pivot. We realized that, okay, the next sort of products that we started making and experiences that we started curating was having market. People were willing to pay and, you know, buy products and use them, and they were enjoying those as well. But then comes of course, the COVID period. But before COVID period, actually, we realized that we had a very bad year. We ended up overcommitting to a lot of expenses, trying to get exponential growth, and we actually had a massive loss. And just when we realized we have a loss for the year, COVID period hit, and we're like a team of 40 people, and we're sitting around an office, and we're like, we don't know what to do next, right? So we had a very difficult conversation with our team. This is the situation. Whoever wants to leave, please start looking for jobs. We'll help you with other jobs as well. Thankfully, very fortunately for us, every single team member decided to stick. They were like, you guys have taken such good care of us. If you're not going to be there for the company when you've been there for us, that's not fair on us. So we are very fortunate that we actually had a team sticking by us at that time. But post-COVID, things turned around very dramatically. As you all know, online shopping took a huge boost, right? Everybody was buying everything online. So in that, 2 years after that, like, you know, was probably the 2 best years of our life, as we say, right? But now, guess what? We're back to square one. But hey, all of us as entrepreneurs go through these cycles. And I think the most important thing which we've learned in our journey so far is, as a startup entrepreneur, you have to learn to be resilient, right? You need to be able to say, I've fallen today, I've been knocked off my feet today, I'm going to get up tomorrow morning and get back to fighting and doing what I need to do, right? That's the most important thing I've learned. So I would love for all of you to actually take that back as well, because it's imperative. If you all are startup people, you will see failures. It's imperative. I don't think there's any person who's succeeded from day one. And if there's anyone like that, I don't want to talk to them ever in my life. So please keep that in mind, but yeah, that's our journey so far.
So, I met my co-founder in IIT Bombay. So we were batchmates, and we would want to cycle. I don't know, people knowing geography of Bombay, IIT Bombay is in Powai, and you have to cycle. You want to cycle to Marine Drive. You can go in the morning. Yeah, you can go at 5. You wake up, thoda thanda hai. You can go reach, cycle over there, and when you want to come back, you're done. You can't. 8 o'clock, it's like almost 80-85% humidity. It's hot. You can't cycle back. So we were always looking for things where we say that, okay, there should be an easier way to bring your bike back if you get stuck somewhere. So the whole idea was to make a bike that doesn't let you get stuck anywhere. Say you have a flat tire or you have a broken spoke, you can quickly fold it up, put it in a cab, come, right? That was the idea behind building this product. And we didn't want to make, you must have seen the small wheel folding bikes, right? We didn't want to make that because that robs you of your cycling experience. You can't cycle 35-40 kilometers on that bike. They're like 20-inch wheels. Doesn't work out. So for us, it was making something that we needed. Right? It wasn't, हमने कोई market survey नहीं किया कि what people want. In fact, this is probably the only bike on the planet that folds like this. Right? We have patents for it. There's nothing like this in the market. So we had nothing to benchmark. Our only thing was कि normal cycle जैसा दिखना चाहिए, गाड़ी में आना चाहिए. Right? That was the two endpoints that had to meet. So that is where we, worked on it, and then we, of course, we had, to do something. घर भी चलाना था, तो then we started our own design studio where we designed e-bikes for different companies. Like we have worked with Hero, we have worked with LML, we have worked with TI Cycles, and these are the brands that we have worked with. We have also designed drones for DRDO and stuff like that. So all these things kept happening, and then COVID came, and then we thought that, okay, this is a product that's really close to our heart, and we cycle a lot, so let's do something in this space. And then electric happened. Thankfully, the electric integration wasn't that challenging for us. As he said, that time it was all China mein make a call, get parts. It works like that, and even it's will agree it's the same today. Not a lot has changed. So that is what happened, and I think he makes an important point: is resilience and the ability to adapt. I think the ability to adapt is one of the biggest strength that an entrepreneur has or should have, because nothing is certain. Today you are thinking, or you have some some thinking that is taking you down some road. Tomorrow that whole thing can be a myth, and you can be like, oh, ye nahi ho raha hai. You have to pivot. And also one thing that as he said, it's important to have a great team. So even when we are hiring, we are very careful whom we hire, because we don't want to do hire and fire. We have 2-3 interview rounds for like normal sales guys, where where people hire ki haan chalo aa jao dekh lenge. Doesn't work like that. If you want a team that sticks with you through the thick and thin, you need to hire very carefully, because I'll tell you, raising money is easier than hiring or building a team, and all of us will agree. Raising money, getting investment is much easier than building a solid team. So I think one thing that I have learned in this short stint is that you get good people who are passionate, people who believe in your journey, and then the whole thing becomes enjoyable. Otherwise you are fighting with your employee, ye kyun nahi kiya. Once you get the right person, that job is done. He will do it. You don't have to micromanage. You help him. As a leader, your job has to be, okay, you are stuck, what is it? What can I do to help you? Okay, I don't want to sound like Simon Sinek, but that's how it is.
Right, so our story is a little bit different because I don't have anything in ML, AI to offer you guys. ना मेरे पास technology है, ना ही technical knowledge है. All we did is focus on one point, create a product which people had to enjoy and create a synergy of fun. How did this started is a very different story probably to the other co-panelists here. So Anuja and I come from F&B background. I come with 17 years of experience, she's got 14 years of experience. Anuja, for those who don't know, is my wife and my co-founder. I purposely got her into the business because I thought कि कहीं ना कहीं तो मैं boss बन सकता हूँ. I thought at home at least office में तो bossगिरी बताऊँ, right? So I got her into the business. The idea was pretty, I mean, the way we got it was completely different. कोई मार्केट रिसर्च का पैसा तो था नहीं कि भाई करोड़ रुपए डालेंगे, नेल्सन को बोलेंगे भाई मार्केट रिसर्च करके बोल कि क्या लाऊं. So Anuja and I just wanted to come back to India, and there was a clear thought that I wanted to do something on my own. Because 7 years in Australia, we were working for Krispy Kreme, George Weston Foods, all the multi-billion-dollar F&B space players in the market, and the idea was to do something which was having a kick. Entrepreneurs have nothing but kick. So we decided that कुछ ना कुछ करना है. And when people are mad about finding an idea or a solution or a business idea, somewhere the idea drops right in front of you, and as an entrepreneur, you got to be very much prepared to grab it on the call. That is exactly what happened. I was sitting in my house in the hall, My sister would come down to stay with us with her kids in Australia, decided to get some local ice popsicle and she started to pack them in her suitcase. And I'm sitting there like, ये कर क्या रही है तू? इंडिया में तो बहुत मिलता है. And then she turns back and says, इंडिया में एक भी आइटम नहीं है ऐसा जिस पे मैं भरोसा कर सकती हूँ. And for an entrepreneur, that is it. एक बार वो statement मिल गया तो your mind starts to work around it. And that is exactly what we started to do. Started to do research. Initially, we came up with multiple ideas. I don't want to talk about it over here, but we gave up on those ideas and then said, "Yeah, ice popsicle is the best way forward." And as long as we all know, Gupta ji ka ladka, Reddy साहब का भाई साहब, everybody said, "पागल है तू? ऑस्ट्रेलिया में आके क्या तेरे को शक्कर का पानी बनाना है?" You know, that happened with me as well. And I said, "आप तो यही बनाना है भाई. चाहे flop होता है वो, लेकिन बनाना तो यही है." So started to do a lot of research. And a typical startup, you know, when we came back to India, we decided to come back to India and do a market research. So you know how market research was done? Prasad IMAX. Anuja and I, thanks to COVID, wore a mask. Nobody could recognize us. Stood there, started to sell the popsicles for free. First, started over giving it for free. We had about 110 popsicles made, no labels, no FSSAI code, nothing on that. We just had a good product developed in our kitchen, not even a lab, a kitchen. And we went out there and said, okay, let's try selling, giving this away to people. 40-50 popsicle went away like this. I said, यार Indian customer है, free में तो लेता ही है. Let's try selling them. तो Anuja looked at me, क्या price? I said 20 rupees. She's like, are you mad? I said, करते हैं ना कोशिश. 20 rupees ice popsicle sold out in 5 minutes. Done. 110 popsicle done and dusted. Then I said, यार this is the best market research I could do because consumer paid money for me. इससे अच्छा कोई research है ही नहीं, right? Whether you guys are doing service, product, tech-based business, जब तक customer पैसा नहीं देता है, there's no proof of your concept, which is correct or not. So we went ahead and did that. And thankfully after that immediately second wave of COVID also came in, but we said नहीं अब तो शुरू करते हैं. But the best part of our journey of the product has been that the excitement that we saw in our consumers' eyes. I still remember we started literally out of our garage. मेरे घर के नीचे एक छोटा सा एरिया था, so we had an office built over there, and we started over there. Consumers used to believe that we are selling as a store or something. They used to come asking for popsicle. They used to buy a few of them and then get so super excited that excitement में तो मैं कभी यार free में भी दे देता था यार लेके जा. It's amazing to see that excitement. But then just to talk about the journey, see, we did multiple things. Anuja and I both did multiple things, and I agree with our co-panelists here. Nobody is a super success over the night. Lot of failures, lot of pain which we go through. I remember I started a technology-based company. First I was into my father's business for 7 years. Enjoyed it. I thought that I was the king because I was growing my dad's business multiple times, not realizing that he was the cushion actually who was guiding me through. और वही कॉन्फिडेंस में स्टार्टेड एन IT कंपनी, zero knowledge about IT, 1.3 crores gone, the pride also gone. Everybody started to give me ज्ञान, free का ज्ञान, and I realized कि हाँ यार डैड थे तो कर सका, डैड नहीं थे तो मैं नहीं कर पाया on my own. And then continued to do something else, and then eventually ended up in Australia. Even before my career, I acted in movies, did a lot of multiple things, fashion shows. So every year I've tried something new. And as an entrepreneur, I think that is a trait that one should have. कि don't worry about failures. Fail होना है वो यार अच्छे से. Keep doing new things, keep failing multiple times. Don't worry about गुप्ता जी का लड़का या आंटी जी, like how Nikhil is saying here. Just keep doing your bit. Success will eventually come to you one day. Just remember, when the success or the opportunity comes your way, remember to grab it. You should be prepared enough to grab it. Nothing more, nothing less. That's it.
Wow. A big round of applause.
Charu, I have a question for Ravi bhai before you continue. On behalf of all the married men, did you end up being the boss at office when Anuja joined?
I kept myself away from her duties and I told her to be away from my duties. At least that way we are gelling along well.
Alright. So I think coming to how did you kind of get into Shark Tank? I think I'll ask this to Nikhil. How did you discover Shark Tank India, and then what was the entire application process like?
Yeah, so even before India, we've been like most of the entrepreneurs who have that Kida we are very familiar with that show across the world. Everybody looks at that crazy numbers, valuation. There was this time where my dad used to, so my dad runs a grocery store. Every day he does 3,000 to 4,000 rupees in we say galla, 3,000 to 4,000 rupees गल्ला में करके ऊपर आते थे. मैं टीवी पे उनको दिखाता था, देखो डैड दिस गाय रेज्ड 15 मिनट्स में ऐसा 5 मिलियन 3 मिलियन रेज किया. लाइक डैड यूज्ड टू लव ये सब WWE है, जैसा WWE स्कैम है, ये भी स्कैम है, मत पढ़ो इस पे. And from there, that Kida was always there. And the moment it came to India, fortunately or unfortunately, we were not aware of the application process in the season 1 because we were stuck with some order that's been happening. And season 2 we didn't want to miss it and we were waiting for the application and we did. And life में तो बहुत ड्रामा है, तो उनको ड्रामा चाहिए. हमने बताया यार ये ड्रामा चल रहा है लाइफ में, तो बता क्या करना है. तो बोलता है आजा टीवी पे तेरा ड्रामा दिखाते हैं क्रॉसिंग. That's exactly how we got into Shark Tank and yeah, we applied and we did.
So Nishant, how I mean, you got selected and you got featured in Shark Tank, right? What do you think? Why that happened? Why did you get selected, or why did they decide to kind of feature you? Could you understand that in retrospect? It's an odd question.
No, I think on this season of Shark Tank there were 3 companies with e-bikes, right? So I don't know why we all got selected, but for us I think it's more to do with the kind of innovations that we were bringing in. Maybe I think that's what they saw in our product at least, because we position ourselves as a brand that is heavily focused on design and innovation, and I think that's what reflected out of the early stages. So there are multiple rounds. You have I think one is an application form, and then you have to record a video. Then they call you to Bangalore. I think we had gone to Bangalore. Yeah, Bangalore. Yeah. So you choose a place probably, and then you go to Bangalore. They see your product there also. They tested our product. They rode it around, and 3 days before they wanted to shoot our whole whatever show, they called us and said ki select ho gaye ho, come to Bombay. 3 days. So then we had to, it was Navratri, I was doing Garba and I got the call 10:30 in the night ki 3 din mein show hai, pack your bags and come with your bikes and all that. So then we went, and that's how our journey.
Any specific preparation you guys did for Shark Tank, or they make you kind of prepare a lot, practice a lot?
I'll answer that question. I just want to add some context here because I'm the only guy here from season 1, if I'm not mistaken, right? So these guys at least knew who the sharks were. For us, it was like complete suspense. And until the last minute that we actually got onto the sets, we did not know who the sharks were because everybody had to sign an NDA and stuff like that. So just say 20-30 minutes before our shoot began, they came up and said, these guys are the sharks, Anupam Mittal. And I'm like looking, who's Anupam Mittal? So we had absolutely nothing known to us. But then also in our scenario, what was happening is on the first season, people were getting blasted left, right and center. This was a epic season, I would say. A lot of nervous people out there coming out. Some of them startups were crying, some of them were angry. मेरे को ऐसा कैसे बोल दिया? Kind of thing. A lot of had anxiety. A lot of them were demotivated. And I remember still on 30th of November we were getting shot, and we were asked to come 4 days in advance. 1 day was quarantine. Those were the COVID days. 2 days was rehearsals, and 3rd day was the shoot. So the 2 days of rehearsals, we used to see people coming out crying and all, and nobody was getting a deal. And there were these multiple ML, AI, I don't know what kind of big startups. They were unfortunately not getting us, funding. And me and Anuja sitting there, yaar, hum to ice Pepsi बेच रहे हैं, मैं कौन बंद करने वाला है, that kind of thing. But understanding from their experiences, I understood that पहले जाके सबको ice pops दे देते हैं तो ठंडे हो जाएंगे. We'll bribe them a little, and then we'll try and see how our pitch goes. So I think that worked in our favor. If you see our pitch also, immediately after finishing the pitch, I said, samples. And everybody said yes, and that worked for us.
So you guys, only you were in season 1 and all of you were in season 2. So maybe you already had some expectations for the pitch, right? So what was the expectation like, and do you think it kind of went that way, or kind of how was it? Expectation versus reality?
Yeah, anybody can. Okay, so we prepared a lot. Like my to make my, so you might have, everybody might have seen my partner is done both, like the best nerd you would meet. Like for him to make him dance, it took my entire life. So for him to agree that, and then he realized. Then I later realized while doing the pitch, वो सोच रहा है डांस करके छोड़ देना है यार, मेहर पिच भी करना है तो and he forgot to pitch, तो उसका लाइन भूल गया वो, and मेरा लाइफ भूल गया मैं उस मोमेंट में. I was like क्या हो रहा है. And anyway, the entire pitch went for almost an hour and a half, unlike what they show you of 13 minutes, the best TRP that they can, but it went on for an hour and a half, and we were expecting pretty simple, famous banna hai bro. We have to do the best thing that we can, because it's been almost 2.5 years for us working in the background where we were building technology for ourselves. We've been doing tricycles, cars, conversions, whatnot. And the moment we decided to enter D2C market, we realized there were legacy companies sitting and they are barely selling. So the best thing that we can do is to, most people know us and ours is an experience product. So the more people know us, more people want to experience the product and the more sales will happen. So this was the whole agenda. The other thing was, anyway, they were not signing more better checks than a crore. Maximum was a crore and a half. हमारे bicycle industry में crore is nothing. 30,000 का साइकिल आता है, आप 300 साइकिल में हो जाते हैं. So expectation was not beyond the money, but more in the lines of PR and market getting known what Garrett Motors and what we are trying to do was. And it went very well, and fortunately they showed all the drama that they can. And the teaser में तो बहुत छा गए bro. So it went very well for us. Yeah, that's we expected the same and we got the same.
Yeah, it was something similar. Our pitch went on for an hour and a half. They showed very little of all the negotiations. I don't know if you guys remember. We said no, and then he again revised the offer. But there was a lot that happened which I can't say in public in that 10 minutes. And in the Shark Tank, the person who's pitching the next, right? He's actually outside the studio. He's sitting, and you can hear those judges yelling at the contestant कि तूने ये भी नहीं किया, तू क्या कर रहा है, and all that. And you are scared, you know, कि boss, you're just sitting there. You must have seen, you know, when they come out of the tank and you make a right, that's where the next contestants are sitting. So you hear all that happening, and there are not a lot of pitches. I think 4 pitches a day, and everything is. But the experience, and I think that all the 4 of us can vouch for that. It's something, so much pressure in that time, you know, the minutes in which you have to take a decision, the minutes in which you have to respond, and nothing is scripted. It's all in the heat of the moment. What they are, I think they are also not aware of what product they are going to be seeing. They have to make decisions in that moment, and you have to answer in that moment. They know nothing, you know nothing. So the whole experience, and it's a 2-day thing. They train you a lot. They refine your pitch. They, of course, it's a show, right? So Hindi show hai, you need that mirch masala. So you have to get that TRP thing. So they heavily influence your pitch. But then only the pitch is something that, you know, you are prepared. But everything else, it's all spontaneity and how you tackle the questions and how you take things from that.
Similar stuff, nothing different. So process is the same and the kind of experiences all of us have is the same. I'll just say it out openly. I hope nobody from Sony is going to be seeing this. But I think because it's a TV show, it's a reality TV show, they are looking for good content, right? So like when we actually created our pitch, even though we are a gifting brand, we have a range of adult games like for couples. And we started our entire pitch with that because we thought that, you know, starting with that would actually just grab people's attention more. It will generate good content for them. And surprisingly, after we finished our pitch, or after we finished our recording, 3 people from Sony actually said, "Oh, you guys generated very good content." So that's one thing which you, if you can keep in mind and just see how according to your product or according to your service, if you can figure out how to get that good content in, you will probably have a better chance of getting aired as well.
I mean, just to add to his point, you have to know your audience, who you are talking to. If it's an investor, then your deck is different. If it's a customer, then how you present yourself is different. If it's a TV show, what sells? Usko kya chahiye? You don't talk about what you want to give. You think about what he or that audience wants.
Just adding a difference between season 1 and season 2. So season 1 was obviously the time where even Sony did not know, or the channel did not know whether it would succeed this well or not. So we went down, actually we wanted to ask for 2 crores because like rightly Nikhil said, 1 crore में होता क्या है, उनके business में तो कुछ नहीं होता, मेरे business में फिर भी ठीक है. So we wanted to ask 2 crores. Sony said, are you crazy? If they start giving 2 crores to everybody, what will they have with them? I said, okay, then we'll make it 1 crore. Then they negotiated it to 80 lakhs. And then they kept pushing us, bring it down. And then they gave me a tip. That tip is like, for a startup, if you're coming on a national television for 15 minutes, it's worth 6-8 crores. And as an entrepreneur, as a startup, you will say, hi, yaar, ye to point correct hai. So we brought down to 45 lakhs, straight 50% discount. And we went up there saying 45 lakhs for, I don't remember what percent it was. But that is the rate that they give you. And I think it's worth it because any startup who gets that 15 minutes, whether it is a good experience, bad experience, I don't know what, but that kind of 15 minutes of exposure on a national television changes the entire story after that.
Just so adding on to what Ravibhai just said, I mean, one of my most important marketing lessons, I actually learned it on the Shark Tank set. One of the team members of the Shark Tank team, he very simple one line. Remember, when a founder is standing next to her or his product and talking about his or her product on national TV, there is no better marketing than that. And that actually is true. Right? It makes a very big difference. So, what he was saying, 15 minutes of airtime, yes, it makes a difference. As the founder talking about your products, yes, it makes a difference. So, if you get a chance, make sure you put across confidently. And one more thing, I hope there are not too many people from Delhi and up north here. How many people from Delhi? Oh shit, wrong audience. Okay, but genuinely no offense. But one of the things which he said is, you people from, this is exactly his words, you people from South don't know how to talk about your product. You should brag about it. So when you are there, please brag about it. Okay.
प्रॉब्लम ये है कि दिल्ली में प्रोडक्ट में ही दम नहीं होता है ना. तो मतलब बोलना पड़ता है.
I hope you guys are not getting up and leaving the Delhi crowd.
डिस्क्लेमर, हाँ, मजाक चल रहा है.
नहीं, हमारा प्रोडक्ट आधा तो दिल्ली में ही बनता है. तो
Yeah, just to add, lot of pitches don't get aired, okay? So just because you're on Shark Tank, just because you got, मतलब हाँ, shooting हुआ, वो Sony is ultimately going to decide. Because I think what they do is, a lot of it depends on how the TRPs are week on week. Because they have no clue which episode to air in the next 3 days. Because I'm sure all of us, we got a call just 2 days before, they are asking stuff about our product. 3 months after the pitch saying कि तुमने ये डायलॉग बोला था, इसका जस्टिफिकेशन दो, या तुमने ये चीज बोला था, इसके स्टेप्स दो. Like for us, we had shown the folding steps. So she is calling me and saying, after our shoot was there in November, and I think we were aired sometime in January or Feb, I don't remember, but 3 months, and then they call us and say कि boss, ये आपने पिच टैंक में बोला था, तो इसके ऊपर हमको स्टेप्स लिख के दो. बोला आप मेरे को वीडियो भेजो, मैं चेक करता हूँ क्या बोला था, because you don't remember, no, what exact words you said. So it's all on their TRP. It's a heavily, as he said, it's a reality show. But the show is what brings them money.
So what type of questions were you guys asked? And I'm sure that there's some questions which were aired, but you were saying that it's a 1.5 hour.
Google पे अकेला है. I wanted to say this but didn't say. भारत पे है, Google पे है, Paytm है. There's room for everyone, right? So, but yeah, we were confident enough in telling what all we have gone through, and the sense of our having our business and the confidence that we showed to the sharks actually helped us all the way through. Confidence is everything in terms of your business knowledge, I would say.
No, I thought. So, sorry, what is the question again?
He's thrown out. So I was asking that, you guys were asked a lot of questions.
Got it.
So,
Yeah.
any that you would like to share?
One thing that is worth mentioning is that they are not all of them are behind your life. Okay, some people are actually backing you, right? When you know, like for example, Namita told us कि यार ये folding मैं घर में कैसे रखूंगी, मेरे को इतना कुछ ये नहीं दिखा है. And Piyush, that's not shown on air. Piyush said कि निश्चित तुम चिंता मत करो, नमिता बहुत बड़े बड़े घर में रहती है ना, उसको पता नहीं है स्पेस सेविंग की कीमत क्या होता है. So these are things they also know that when you enter the tank, they're like, are you okay? Just relax. They are doing that. They also know the kind of pressure that you are in. So some of their questions are also to make you feel comfortable. That's why when you see the pitches, the first thing that they ask you are the easy things. Ki tell us about your journey. आपको ये idea कैसे आया? या what are the things? And then they start filtering it down, and the questions that they ask a lot of times are like these guys got questions related to their product, but sometimes they are testing you in terms of your temperament also, in terms of how you react to pressure situations. And this is not true for Shark Tank only. Even if you are raising some seed money also, if you speak to an investor, these are the questions, because they are putting the money, the business is not, it's very dicey at an early stage, but they are putting the money on you. So a lot of these questions come up that what if nobody buys your product? What will you do? Have you done a market survey? What are the kinds of market surveys? So it's all about being a little out of the box. Like he said, हमारा market survey क्या था? Prasad's के बाद जाके we started giving out popsicles. That nobody teaches that in any B school, right? कि this is how you do it. So their questions are mostly related. What they don't show is all about putting you in tough situations, and Sony only shows things that people are able to understand, that maximum janta is able to understand.
For us, there was 2 to 3 questions which were outstanding that wasn't, it was supposed to be here. We wish it was to be here. So the first question was about talking about legacy companies. The thing that I didn't understand, 4 out of 5 people sitting there were the non-legacy companies, and these were the people who broke the stereotypes of legacy companies. But the questions that was coming up was, what if that company does this? What if this company does that? So we understood they were trying to test our temperament and trying to understand how we deal with it. So major difference was the reason why we've signed an MOU with Tata today is also for them to pivot. It's going to take so much time. Like for them to innovate on a technology or for them to change the system. It's like an SBI boss. Like आपको चेक विड्रॉ करने में घंटे लग जाएंगे, इनको तो सालों लग जाएंगे अगर कुछ नया प्रोडक्ट लेके आना है तो. So those were some of the questions which we were asked, which were interesting to discuss about. Only the tech and as he said, like normal janta is sort of tough to understand that kind of conversation. But those were some of the questions that we were asked and that were interesting.
So I think all the questions they covered. Apart from questions, one thing which we realized is now how the setup happens in these places is they're doing about 6 to 8 recordings in a day, right? So now these investors, these sharks are sitting from 9 a.m. till about 10 p.m. They're going through about 6 to 8 pitches in a day. It's exhausting, and right, I mean at a point in time it even gets boring maybe for them, right? So keep your discussion interesting, keep it fun. Like when we had our conversation, I'm guessing our thing went on about an hour or so roughly. 30 minutes, we were all just laughing. They've shown only maybe 2-3 minutes of that in our actual episode. But we were actually laughing for 30 minutes. And one of the Shark Tank, like the producer or someone, she actually said, you guys actually made sure they had fun And she told us that, yeah, these guys are people who are also people. They are sitting for so many hours non-stop, just listening to pitches and just, trying to understand one business after the other. So it's good to be able to give them something to have fun with, right? So just a tip to keep in mind that if you do get shortlisted and you are going there, keep this in mind. It will just help you ease the conversation. And I think our conversation actually ended up being a lot less stressful. We didn't feel that at all, even though they were trying to grill us. But I think because we had made the tone very fun from the start, it just helped us get away with some of the madness which the rest of you probably faced.
So some of you were, you had the deal and you got funded through Shark Tank, but otherwise also, you bootstrapped, you had taken angel investment through friends and family, etc. So when it comes to funds, I think it's very important to understand how a fund is supposed to be utilized, or how you have money, but how do you put that money to use so that it kind of helps you to scale and grow and not just burn cash. So would any of you like to take that question, or a couple of you, about the fund utilization plan? What was your guiding light? How did you decide where to use what?
I'll answer this question a little differently because I come from a family business, right? Born and brought up in a Marwadi family. Business has always been the talks of the dinner table. So we had only one understanding, that business profit se chalta hai. That is how we've been brought up. And that also shows very clearly in the way we do business. So after Shark Tank happened, or even before Shark Tank happened, we were little profitable. But after Shark Tank happened, because of scale increasing, obviously we were profitable even after that. So what has happened is, the funds that we actually raised on Shark Tank is sitting in our bank account as a fixed deposit, even today. We never had to touch that funds. And why I mention this is because, especially in these days where people call it as the funding winter, I'm sure you guys all have heard this term now. A good number of startups who have got great potential are also shutting their doors, and they're on the road looking for investors because they know that their run rate, or they're going to just burn out in the next 20 days or 2 months or 6 months, I don't know. It is very important for us as a founder to keep our fundamentals very intact, and I say this to a lot of people who are just starting up, that get your business model right, because profitability is the king of anything. If a lot of these startups had been profitable today, they wouldn't have had to go out and look for investor money right now. And they could have been much more sustainable for the next few months until the winter had gone away and summer would come in again. But then having said that, in case if I was funded and if I needed the fund, guys understand that these funds are always for growth, to grow your value of the business, not your back-end capex. I mean, in case you guys are into manufacturing of some product, do not use it for bringing in heavy machinery and buying, because the cost of equity is way too high, way too expensive than debt. If you want to buy machinery or if you want to buy something related to capex, probably go for a bank loan which is much more cheaper. But if you're trying to raise funds, use it for the front growth, where your top line is growing. But I would always say, please focus on your bottom line, the profitability. I do not want to name brands, but there are brands now who have suddenly switched into the entire strategy of looking at the bottom line. पहले तो bottom line देखते ही नहीं थे. Top line चलता था, where turnover, sales was most important. Now everybody is switching their modes to bottom line. So I think as any business fundamental, whether you're in a service or a product, get your unit economics right in terms of understanding per hour का charge क्या करना है, per unit का cost क्या करना है, so that even if you're getting bare minimum 5% profitability, don't worry, but at least stay profitable. That is what I would say. Because when the fund comes in and when you start scaling up, that 5% will eventually become 50% or 500%. You wouldn't even have to worry much about it. So that is my take and thought on the entire funding process.
Yeah, I think I agree. What he's saying is, makes perfect sense. That even now, if you look at new companies trying to raise funds, it's the road to profitability is very important. Gone are the days when you would say, मैं इतने customers acquire करूँगा या मेरा इतना revenue होगा. It's all about how much money the business is bringing in, and it's okay. I mean, you don't have to say कि हाँ मैं first year से ही profitable होगा. That's not the case with a lot of companies. That's fine. But that road to profitability has to be clear, because now you cannot raise money just by saying कि I'm going to acquire so many customers or I'm going to get so much revenue. And about the as he said, you know, you can take some debt if you are looking for capex or some you want some machinery or inventory, fixed assets वगैरह पे है, so you can take that. But at the same time, I will also, you know, recommend having a good mentor. Okay, because it's not only about the money. Very honestly, at least for me, that's how it's worked. Like, mentors are really, really, really helpful because they show you what you can't see. They show you what you will have to, you know, they clear your path. They prevent you from making mistakes that you would have otherwise made and close shop. Like for example, when we started off, we were approached by I think 6 or 7 companies who called us and said, "Ki boss, we'll make your frames." Okay, that's what a lot of manufacturers do. We'll make your frames and हम कर लेंगे. And we were very tempted कि बस 2 महीने में फैक्ट्री खड़ा हो जाएगा, चलो फ्रेम भेज देगा. But that's not, because that's our IP, right? We get the frames made by them. They will give us 1,000 frames. They will sell 500 उसका खुद का brand में. We don't want to do that. So now we took the pain of making the machines that made the machines. So we were also you have to be very thrifty. Is one thing that I want all of you to just keep in mind. Don't spend money. Every rupee saved is rupee earned. Whatever you save, you try to save. Like when we were building our manufacturing unit, we could have easily gone to Ludhiana, which is like the mecca of bikes in India, and said कि मेरे को ये tools बनवाना है. They would have made us. They would have charged us 35-40 lakhs. We did the whole thing in less than 3.5 lakhs, and it's so remarkable the kind of savings that we have been able to do, and that then goes down to your entire team. When you are saving that penny, when you are saying that, okay, I'll take a morning 4 o'clock flight just because it's 500 rupees cheaper, I'm okay to take that 4 o'clock flight, your team also takes that cue. We will only spend where it is absolutely necessary. And one more thing that I want, to add to this is about use your money to generate sales. वो marketing, brand strategy, हमारा position ये है, हम ये position, nothing works. Whatever money you have, at least when you are starting your business, each and every penny should be spent with the intent of earning 2 more. That is how I think you should manage your money, and that is how I think you should approach the whole funding thing. Whatever you get, show the road to profitability and be absolutely thrifty and smart in how you spend your money.
I think रवि भाई ने perfect बोला, मारवाड़ी से सीखो धंधा करना. No better person to learn from in terms of how to use money well, genuinely.
Yeah, so for us anyway, ये customer acquisition ये सब काम नहीं करता क्योंकि हमारा बाइसाइकिल का धंधा है. तो आप बाइसाइकिल एक बार बेचो, वो फिर से आपको देखेगा भी नहीं. तो ये लाइफ टाइम वैल्यू एंड ऑल, इट डजंट मेक सेंस फॉर अस. So hence we've been profitable from day one. Humbly, I would disagree with the thing that having a in-house machinery is because for a company like us, right, which doesn't have a initial capital, it is much easier to get onto a back of somebody else at least for the initial days. All the IP can be saved with good documentation and good stuff instead of me investing lakhs of rupees. So our machinery, maximum मैंने एक ड्रिल मशीन खरीदा था 500 रुपए का, and 2000 रुपए का एक वेल्डिंग मशीन खरीदा था. This is the maximum machinery what we bought in our factory. Rest everything we put it in the other people, and then we give them design, sign an NDA that भाई बेचना नहीं मारेगा. तो उसके ऊपर we focused, and we've got our initial revenue done. And till date we are following the same line because we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. Unlike he got a really good design element to his bike, हमारा तो simple cycle है, तो हम ज़्यादा innovation नहीं किया उसमें. इलेक्ट्रिक बाइसिकल बोल रहे हैं. We relied on laziness of people. जैसा मेरा टमी है, तो मेरे को साइकिल चलाना नहीं आता ब्रो. हर लाइक 30-40 किलोमीटर साइकिल नहीं चलाऊंगा मैं आराम से इलेक्ट्रिक साइकिल ऑन करूंगा, थ्रॉटल के हिसाब से चलाऊंगा. जब भी मन करता है, मोटिवेशन आता है ना अंदर, अरे निखिल तेरा पेट बढ़ रहा है, तब मैं ऑफ करके मैं पेडल करता हूँ. So we relied on laziness of people, and that's how our company is always like, यार ये perfection journey में नहीं पढ़ना है, बेचना है. Last year we've done 1500 sales of bicycles, and this year we're projecting to do 15,000 thanks to Tata. So that's exactly how we're doing it.
Just one point adding to this. Even today, you ask my marketing manager, you ask my sales head, if they come and tell me that we need 20 lakhs of budget, I ask him only one question: ROI कितना होगा? Simple. You need 20% in sales team, no problem. Sales कितना मिलेगा? ROI कितना होगा? That is how a startup has to think all the while through. Even I think when you scale up for great numbers, I think this should be the focus: ROI, ROI, ROI. That's it.
So I think some of you mentioned about your teams and your what an important role a team plays in your organization. So how do you decide what type of people to have on board? Because I think that's very important. It plays a very important part in the growth of the startup. So you want to share about how you decide who to kind of have in your team? Any criteria for that?
Yeah, so they did mention before this कि you have to get that ideal team and all. नहीं मेरे को हर बार उल्टा हुआ bro. नहीं like whenever I trusted this guy, the next kick-ass guy I found, that guy left first, and he was all checking all the good right points whenever we sit in an interview. यार passionate है, लेट तक काम करेगा, कभी कभी वो काम करते जैसे दिखता भी था. तो I think it's very hard to judge on the first note, like the first interview that you meet. They can be anything that they want. Like they'll go to now अभी ChatGPT और easy कर दिया bro. प्रोडक्ट इंटरव्यू जा रहे हैं, क्या बताना है, तो वो बोलेगा तू AI टेक्नोलॉजी के बारे में बात कर, वो बात करेगा. नॉन टेक वाले बंदे अरे यार टेक के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, हमको तो पता नहीं, ये तो करेगा. वो खुद को ChatGPT रटा हुआ है. So it's very hard. It's supremely hard. If somebody says that it's easy to hire a kick-ass team, it's very hard. It's gonna be as harder than the startup journey, because you will fail. You'll make a lot of wrong hires, and this loop will never end. Like you will continually make wrong hires. All you have to realize is the moment you realize that this is a wrong hire, you have to act. I've done my mistakes where I didn't act because startup में ना थोड़ा कल्चर बन जाता है, दारू वारू मिलके पियेंगे, वो इमोशन बढ़ जाता है, उसके बाद फायर करना थोड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है. बट एंड देन मेरा ब्रेकअप हुआ, तो एंड देन आई रियलाइज ब्रो इफ आई कैन लीव माई गर्ल इन अ वीक, दिस गाय इज बीइंग टॉक्सिक टू माई कंपनी सिंस 2 years man. Then I fired him. So वैसा, so it's you have to develop that notion to say no to people and fire immediately and act the moment you realize it's a wrong hire. And yeah, that's exactly, eventually you'll find the right team, and I have a great team right now.
So I have a completely contrarian take to what Nikhil spoke about. First of all, yes, if you realize you've hired wrong, must fire immediately. No two doubts about that, right? But we've seen that in our hiring process, we don't have a process per se. We of course have whatever rounds, telephonic, blah blah, all that happens. But when someone is like, we've seen typically when someone fakes enthusiasm, when someone fakes passion, वो दिख जाता है. If you just are able to read the person's eyes well, you'll see on their face that they're lying about what they're talking, right? And the moment we realize that, for us that's an immediate no, right? So there are times where my co-founder has, and I have had, like, we fought like cats and dogs because he wants to hire someone and I'm like, I'm sorry, my veto, I'm not going to let you hire this person. Or it's the other way, where I say I want to hire this guy and this guy will say that no, I didn't get the right vibes from him. We care a lot about the vibes, right? We've seen that when you're honest towards your work and you have transparent communication with even the people who want to work with you and are interviewing with you, आप अगर honest रहोगे इसके साथ, वो honest रहेगा, तो अगर dishonest रहेगा समझ में आ जाएगा, वो अगर honest रहेगा then also you'll see, and that becomes more important a virtue, and the the honesty of a person. More than skills, more than passion, if that person looks like he wants or she wants to do good work, right? That's the most important thing you look for. And touch wood, I would say till, like, we've been on our startup journey for almost 8 years, 9 years now, since 2014. I think out of 40, about 20 people have been with us for more than 5 years, right? And my top team, like my core 5 people in the team, one has been around for 5 years, one has been around for 4 years, and another one's been around for about 3.5 years. And they're happy with what they do, right? And that brings us to the second part, which is how do you make sure they continue, right? Getting good people on board is one part. You just got to make sure they're doing good work. They should feel that they're respected at their work, and that whatever contribution they're making, give them visibility on what they are achieving, what their contribution is helping the company achieve. Give them that visibility, and that, again, that's the key thing which we have used so far as a tool to just make sure people want to continue working with us. Then of course, you have your salaries and packages and all that. You got to work out whatever best you can. We've had a couple of people wanting to move out and have moved out because their salary expectations we could not match, even though we really wanted them to continue. But then, hey, that's just a part of your startup.
Yeah, I think what he says, and since he's been there in this business for so long and he's seen the tough times, and the team has stayed with him during those tough times, it's testimony that he's hired the right people, right? It's a clear indication. So just to add to that, attitude trumps experience. Okay, people will learn. If they are okay, मतलब उसको नहीं आता है, people will learn. But you need that right attitude. If you get let's say for example, I am making bikes, right? I get the head of production for Hero, but if he doesn't have the right attitude, he is never going to be onboarded as a Honda employee. He will always be a hero. As he said, सरकारी कंपनी चलता है, चलता होगा. We can't afford चलता है, चलता होगा. We have to make a change. We have to make it yesterday, not tomorrow, not today. We have to make it yesterday. That's the speed. Otherwise, we are done. Any company that's just starting off, you have one thing that you have as your advantage is agility, and if you don't utilize that, done. So people who are ready to learn, people who are not afraid to really make mistakes, and people who do things proactively, I think they outweigh, that attitude or that thing outweighs their past experience. So while hiring, I think for me, I've been fortunate enough to hire people more or less right, and as he said, if the person is not right, then you have to let him go, let him or her. That has to happen. But then at the end of the day, you also have to realize that boss, ये तुम्हारा गलती है. You hired that person, so you didn't see through what happened. You didn't see through what that person is going to do. So somewhere down the line, you have to look into yourself कि मैंने क्या गलती किया कि 3 महीने में मेरे को इसको भगाना पड़ा. Right? Everybody feels bad when you have to let someone go or when you have to ask someone to leave. But then at the end of the day, it's your shortcoming that you have to let someone go. So yeah, experience, great, but attitude is more important.
So I have something more to add here. We today are close to about 2 years and 2 months old, and after Shark Tank, I would say give or take 1.5-year-old company. And like I said, from a number of 14 to almost 411 today, we have really escalated in terms of our team size. So I had different set of challenges altogether, because thankfully for Shark Tank, we had the opportunity to scale up. There was a demand, we wanted to capture it, and if I have to really service the demand, I need a team. And one thing is very certain, guys, in India, there is no shortage of copycat brands. Whether you're in a service, you're in an electric scooter, you're in a ice popsicle business, you'll always get new brands which will come up. The only thing which will differentiate from that competitor to me is my team. Nothing differs. The way our team responds to customers, the way we deliver, the way we handle issues, the way we try to talk about the brand is the biggest differentiating factor, which will eventually come out as results. But in my story, what has happened is I started off a year and a half back with a small team where my budgets are pretty constrained. So I started off with people whom I could fit into my budget. More than skill set, it was the budget which was my driving force. Right? I was hiring people, freshers from college, and then helping them train. I still remember sitting on the e-commerce website, processing orders with them. In a scope of another 6 months after Shark Tank happened, my team suddenly escalated to say X amount to X square amount as a budget. Then now it's X cube, now it's X to the power of 4. So there's a huge gap between the talent on day one and the talent as of today. My job as an entrepreneur is to maintain an ecosystem where the talent of day one and the talent of today can survive together under the same roof. They might not be equally talented as my team today, but they've been with me at the times where I was really small. I am very small even today, but that was my starting struggle, and they had confidence in me as an entrepreneur, on the brand as a delivering brand, and I cannot let them go. A lot of times my team they accuse me of being too soft, too kind, too protective about the team. Whether that team is working in Hyderabad or whether he's working in Kashmir, I don't care. I want to be making sure that when I grow along, my team should grow along. Because this team who has had faith in me will always continue to be very, very contributing. I had an experience, I'll just take 2 more things here. All of us say that, the talent that you're acquiring has to be smarter than you, right? It's not easy to handle such talent. It is like the wild horse. भैया वो आ तो जाएगा लेकिन भागेंगे अपने डायरेक्शन में. Controlling, motivating, directing that kind of a talent is very hard. Sometimes I fail to understand भैया इसको भिजाना कहाँ है, बिठाना कहाँ है. It's so hard, and that becomes a challenge because before you grow to that level, if you hire way too higher talent, then he starts to dominate the force onto you. Because every one of us as an entrepreneur is building a brand, a company based on your values, your direction, your positioning. Now somebody comes in and he directs it to a completely different way. That becomes a turmoil in the entire ecosystem. The entire team gets confused कि सर की सुनना है या इसकी सुनना है. सर तो ऐसा बोल रहे थे, वो ऐसा कैसा हो गया? So that experience I've gone through where somebody came in, he really messed up the entire ecosystem, 4, 5, 6 months and he left. Now I am trying to put the pieces together, trying to make it go into the right direction once again. So it's easy to say that we should hire talent much better than us, but it is very, very difficult to actually motivate and keep them in the right loop. Also, this might help you guys. I, after this experience, created 2 principles in my organization that my organization will work on loyalty and performance. These are the 2 pillars in my organization. Loyalty, a person who works with us should be humble, should appreciate the brand, should be together with us in a very genuine manner. Not that he's doing something and then he's bitching around about us in the back. Second is performance. If you're a performer, you will obviously survive. But if you're not loyal to the brand, but you're a great performer, you are no match to me. I don't care who you are, I'll let you go. And if you're too loyal, you talk very good things about us, but you're not a performer, I'm sorry, again, you cannot fit into the ecosystem. So these 2 pillars really work for us. And when I judge a person before recruiting, I say whether he can stand on both the pillars equally well or not. And I think so far, in the last few months, touch wood, things have worked well for us. No complaints there.
So now whatever phase you guys are in, different phases, but and this is the last question. So what kind of challenges are you facing now versus before, and how are you dealing with them? Also, what kind of opportunities do you see yourselves getting now, and how are you kind of deciding what opportunity to kind of grab, what to let go of? Saying no, considering saying no is also important. This is the last question, and then we'll open the floor to audience questions.
For us, the biggest challenge now, we're a D2C brand. How many of you are D2C brand founders, working in a D2C brand? Okay, awesome. Wow, more than I expected, frankly. Just kidding. Okay, for us, the biggest challenge from the time we started is marketing, right? Any consumer-facing brand, right? When I say D2C brand, it's any consumer-facing brand, a retail consumer, right? Marketing is always going to be our single biggest challenge. I told you about how 2 years after COVID, we actually had a wonderful run. We were able to build good results, which are now able to use for the growth of our business further. But post that run, last year, 22-23, was one of our worst ever years in the form of marketing. our marketing spends more than doubled and generated the same amount of revenue for us. So literally, we were in a loss in the year of 22-23 because of this one single reason, right? In India, operating in a consumer space is one of the most difficult things to do for the simple reason, Indian customer ko best of the world chahiye at the sastaest of the costs, right? So we're not doing the spec, right? It is insane trying to balance that entire act and with the kind of marketing spend that we have to do to capture these things, right? So constantly innovating on the products is one thing which we have to work on, which in turn becomes more ammunition for our marketing, and constantly working on new markets. So now this year, for example, we've evolved from being just a gifting company. We are becoming a house of brands concept. So we're launching multiple brands which in turn have their own markets in India as well as outside India, right? So we're looking at capturing many more kinds of audiences, many more kinds of consumers for different kinds of products. So that's our biggest challenge that we are going through at the moment, and hopefully we'll be out of it in the next 1 year.
For us, like before and today, it is the biggest challenge we have is Chinese dependency. Before it used to be completely, we used to import everything, like bicycle में जो भी component है import करके assemble करके बेचते थे. Since 2 years we started. So India has always been a system integration country than a system design country. That's been a major challenge for India. But now dynamics are changing, like world is looking up to products from India. Now post Shark Tank we also realized that there is a lot of interest in this particular space. Like bicycle को ज़्यादा भाव नहीं देता इंडिया में, but export it is a very good market is what we've realized. But again, when you go to export, they'll ask you country of origin. If it is from China, then they'll impose anti-dumping duty and all of that. So the problem is, even though we are ready to design and make it in India, the core components like semiconductors and stuff like that, it is very hard to procure in India because we are at very nascent stages, even with the PLI schemes, everything. It is at very nascent stages where we are right now in the market spectrum. So the challenge still continues. I believe in some more time, so everywhere I go, I hardly recommend and encourage to build manufacturing or product-oriented products rather than, we don't have a global product yet. Like we have a great legacy companies, you name Tata's, Heroes, everybody. We don't have a global product yet. So I think it's big time that we have to come up with a crazy global product so that more interest is generated within India, and we have to pivot from system integration to system design. And I think that's where the change will happen, and that's where we, will cope up with the existing challenges what we have.
Yeah, I think he makes a fair point, and since we are from very similar industries, export is something that is a huge challenge for us. Like as he rightly said, when you're selling a bike from India and then they see Chinese components in them, then that's a problem. Fortunately, we also have conventional push bikes, but at the same time, मतलब कितना भी बोल दो यार, make in India, I agree. We are doing phenomenal work for the last few years. What has happened, great. But at the end of the day, it's not a bike made in India and a bike made in Germany does not get the same respect, right? A bike made in the Netherlands, Dutch made or handmade or rubbish. But that's the kind of respect European countries get. We sent our first shipment to Europe just yesterday. It reached one of our first customers, and what he had to say is, the product is fantastic, right? And I'm sure he will agree, ours is a product where people have to try it. Unless they try it, they will not realize कि ये ऐसे होता है. Whatever, electric, non-electric, whatever the bike, but the test ride is most important. So for us to give a test ride to someone in Europe, like we sent a few bikes to South Africa, that person was able to sell it off, and now that channel is starting up. But it's not that easy to just say कि हाँ, you start selling it and building a brand in countries like Europe. Oh, it's no matter how much you raise, it's never going to be enough. So then you piggyback on someone saying, ki, Acha, you are the biggest retailer, or you already have X number of stores, let me put your bike. He will say, हाँ इधर लाओ, इतना credit ये वो, all that demand for saying कि this is a solid engineered product, take it. You don't get that right off the value. You have to send him some bikes, उसको free samples भेजो या उसको कुछ, let him order some bikes and see. So that is one challenge that we are currently struggling. But then we are finding out ways, because you have to. There's no other option. The market is there. It's a huge market outside. So that's something that we are actively looking at. But it's a very tough hurdle.
I think our challenge, which I'm sure all the panelists will agree, is with a little bit of popularity comes great responsibility as well. Because of what happened on Shark Tank, and because the brand became a little well-known brand across a few households, the consumer expectations tend to change or go high like crazy. Person sitting in Jharkhand, some remotest area, would expect that kal subah mujhe delivery chahiye. And as a startup, obviously it is very hard for us to meet that expectation, where Amazon and Flipkart has actually spoiled the customers. And now though Zepto is saying 15 minutes mein bhi jata hu. So it's very hard. And scaling up is always a challenge. A lot of VCs will say you'll have to scale up fast. Paisa aa gaya to you'll have to scale up fast. It's easy to say than done, because scaling up at a momentum to really get the opportunity at hand and try to make the most of it is very, very challenging. You do crazy mistakes. You are more inclined towards going downside rather than going up north. And because you are people know your brand, there is a lot of expectations, not just from a logistic point of view, but from in terms of deliverables, in terms of quality, taste, new SKUs. Multiple challenges do come up. And because in our case, we have created a category. So we have become a market leader where people are trying to challenge us. Duplicate brands have come up, look-alike brands have come up, multiple, we have filed a few legal cases on multiple players in the remotest parts of India. So these kind of challenges which I have never thought of that I would be facing. And I remember this when I met Anupam a year and a half back at his residence. He told me कि रवि यार 5 लाख रुपए साइड में रख ले लीगल केसेस के लिए, and I did not know then why he was saying so, but now I know that I have crossed that 5 lakh budget also. So these kind of challenges are there. As long as you are a brand who can play under the radar and get your process, your business plan right, it is always great. But in our case, even before we created a business plan and a different process happened, then we tried to reach that and another process happened. So we kept on scaling up. So there's no business plan for us. We just go by the day. We just try to make sure that we survive every day, and that's about it. That's been our challenge.
Thank you everyone for sharing your experiences. Now I think I'll open the floor for questions. So if anybody has questions, you can raise your hands and Tarun will move around the mic.
Before we get to questions, can we have a round of applause for all of them, please? All right, I'll get the mic to you guys. I know that you guys are very excited to ask them questions. So please raise your hand, say your name, and just get directly to the question. And if some of you at the back can come up and make a line here, then that will help as well. I'll start off from here.
Hello everyone. Firstly, thank you for all of you for coming up and sharing your thoughts over here. It's very valuable for folks like us to understand. So my question is, every business has its perspective, but both of you are in the same industry. So first question is like, as Nikhil previously mentioned, legacy companies, it is very hard. The price valuation game of price is very much, right now FAME 2 has been disabled. There is a more of price war, and May there is a huge sales growth, and June there is sales drop. How you are going to handle, how those kind of pictures you have a plan, how you think on that kind of price game, especially in this industry?
So I believe, so the kind of marketing route that we took, it's a D2C business model we are trying to build. The problem with legacy companies, they are heavily invested in dealer distributor model. Although they are a big companies, their volumes doesn't make sense the moment they get into stockist, super stockist, wholesaler, retailer, and then customer. Brands like us, we have that edge through D2C where we can reach out to customer directly at the price versus value. And that's exactly why we were able to sell at 24,000 and 25,000. The same product that being sold by the legacy companies at 33, 34. So that's the exact route that we are picking right now, and we being more tech savvy than them in terms of giving more value to the customer in terms of tracking, anti-theft and all of that. But the major value addition will come from the legacy companies to compete is for us to pivot, and also it's a huge market here. Like, I think today there are 300 cycles are being sold by Tata. Likewise, Garrett also is selling 300 cycles. So it's a huge market yet to capture, and we are applying this rule for the long term.
It's a price to value more of it.
So I have a slightly different take on this. I think if you're starting a company and you want to compete on price, you will not. It's going to be the bike. For us, it was, we were never in this business to make a conventional bike. Okay. Now I'll just give you one example. We do D2C pan-India. Okay. We were able to ship the bikes to Europe. We have shipped bikes to South Africa. The reason why we are able to do that is globally we are the only people who offer a fully assembled bike. Now, when you ship a bike, you have your front wheel is not attached. Your handlebar is not attached. Your pedals are not attached. You need to send a toolkit. That toolkit has some cost. Then the person has to attach it. There are a lot of rejections even on Amazon. There are a lot of returns. Somebody was just saying, Raviva was saying that Amazon has spoiled people. He return kar dete hain. Lot of returns on Amazon, especially on e-bikes, because they are not able to fit it. India is not DIY. India is DIFM. Do it for me. तो किसी को बुलाएगा, अर्बन क्लैब को बोलेगा मेरे को. In Europe it's different. People paint their own houses, right? People build their own furniture. They know how to use tools. They know how to do that. So we made, for us, it's what the customer wants. Our bike, we send it to the customer no matter where it is. Wherever in India, we have sent bikes all the way to Nagaland, remote places. The customer just has to unbox, unfold and start riding. The battery is fitted. The tires are inflated. You know, back in the day, I don't know how many people remember when we used to get a laptop, पहले खोल के driver डालना पड़ता था. Windows डालो, ये डालो. Then Apple came and said कि नहीं, you open the lid, button भी नहीं दबाना है. Now the latest Mac, you just open it, the screen turns on. So we want that experience for our customers. And we are probably 20,000 more, costlier than what they are. But we are not competing on price. We are competing on the value that we give. And we have, customer is something that, is at the core of our business. He is at the top of our org structure. So if I will, go and his brand and his product is testimony. Ki 20 rupees ke liye people are okay to pay. So it's not about the price, is what I feel. It's about the value that you're able to give, and people, if they see that value, like when we have that bike, we sell it at 23,000, the non-electric, right? And customers are buying it because they say कि यार वो पीछे का गाड़ी में जो stand लगाते हैं, A, it's illegal, B, it costs 6,000 plus. So if I buy a 16,000 bike and I have to buy that stand, then I'm already paying for that. So here's a bike that can go in your car boot. You don't have to buy that and you can cycle it. So the value that you give to the customer is more important than the cost that you are saying कि हाँ मैं इतना सस्ता हूँ, I'm the cheapest. Cheapest doesn't go here. Apple is the costliest phone, right? iPhone. But everybody, मैं कितना भी हूँ मेरे को iPhone होना है. वो OnePlus में इतना features है, people are like हाँ ठीक है. It doesn't create the same excitement. So that's something that I want to. My opinion is that playing on cost is not the right thing. Play on value. If your customer sees value in your product, he will pay the cost. If he doesn't see value, even if you are the cheapest, your product will not.
To give you more clarity on your question, how would we compete with the legacy companies? Irrespective of what we are selling and what the product we are in the market, they have a supply chain. Like they have a distribution chain. That's the major advantage for us. Let's say if tomorrow they want to build a foldable bike with some other shape, they might do it. But for them to come at the cost of what this guy is selling at, this guy is selling electric fold at 45k. So they're selling at electric fold at 45k. For Tata or Hero to come up, it's the same cost that both Hornbike and Hero will have same cost. But for them to sell, they have to pass it through the distribution chain. they cannot come back and say, यार भाई मैं direct customer को भेजूंगा. Because the moment he says that, dealers, there is this classic case study happened in Kerala where they banned 91 cycles. All the distributor मिलके 91 cycles को ban कर दिए क्योंकि online में वो कम पैसे में बेच रहे थे. So that edge we have, irrespective of what price at what value we sell, the major edge we have with the legacy companies is they have to pass down their profits through their distribution chain, and they're bound to because they've been doing this since 200 years and they cannot escape that chain right now.
Hello. It was a stunning event with all the insights from everyone. I'm myself Karthik. Basically, we have this quotation, right? I know a guy who knows a guy. Basically, I'm the guy for all the startups who are looking for the talent. So I just want to know, as Ravi mentioned, he actually looks for the two main pillars. One is loyalty, one is for the performance. Who you gonna look after for the candidate? Who gonna work, make you work for you or for the company for the long time? So in order to save more time for the company, more resources in process of hiring, in order to save all the assets.
So I think obviously in the first meeting it's very hard for me to say whether loyalty is this banda going to be loyal to me and is this guy going to be a performer because everyone is too excellently prepared during an interview. But I think I go with the thought process which was just shared, that the vibes. As long as I get a very positive vibe कि यार ये बंदा genuine दिखता है, होगा या नहीं वो अलग बात है, then I probably go with a gut feeling that yes, I think I can hire him. And somehow I have stayed away from the entire process of recruitment these days, unless and until it is at a national position or a state level that I'm looking at, because I think I've made a lot of mistakes in terms of hiring people. But I always take a second, third and even a fourth opinion, and I have never said yes to people instantly. I go back home, I sleep for next 2-3 days, and then I come back and say, okay, let me have a second round of interview with the same guy. So it's very hard for me to understand what kind of talent I'm getting in, and obviously once the person joins in, the first 3 days are very crucial. The first 3 days I'll either get a Cerodon for myself, I'm like, oh my god, what have I done? Or I'll realize that now I can go back and chill out with a coffee and let this guy's work. That's how it is.
Hiring is more difficult than onboarding.
Some crisp and short from all three of them.
Yeah, I mean, nothing more to add on that. Just to say that, hiring is the easy part when it comes to hiring versus onboarding. Because then you have to onboard him 2 months ke baad mein, because you have to see he's also coming with some baggage. He's probably, let's say he or she has worked at some company and they have that culture. And that culture is imbibed in that. So let's say if he is hiring somebody from Cadbury and he's now in Skippy, so then there has to be that process where you convert that person from a Cadbury employee to a Skippy team member. That onboarding is very important. So that's the 3 days that he's talking about. It generally lasts for 2 or 3 months, and only then you know that, okay, this guy is completely now onboarded. He speaks your language. He speaks, and it's also important to let all your team members, or at least the most important, the leadership, to know what your goals are, because that is, I think, very crucial. Because if your team doesn't know what you are working towards, then everybody is going in different directions. Then it's not an efficient machine. So I think onboarding is also as crucial, if not more crucial, than hiring, because
something like customer experience, like employee experience.
Yeah, it's part of it. Employee experience, you make him feel good, you make him feel valued, you understand his point of view, you respect his decisions and things like that. But at the same time, you also need to make sure that he understands your point of view. He understands what the company is standing for. He understands what the company's goals are. So that's what onboarding is. It's like, a newly married couple, arranged marriage, typical, then they are getting to know each other. I don't know. Yeah. Let's not go there.
So for us, it's always been, so I've been preaching this everywhere I go, is to build, rather than looking for a co-founder now, look for a founder's office. So anybody who stayed with you for at least 2 years from the day of your start of your journey, I think it should be inculcated into your founder's office. Yesterday I've realized, so we've been pitching to a lot of people for our next round, and this is what we have realized, and we felt very happy that everybody, like the moment I established the first notion of what is our vision is and mission is, everybody when they're explaining about their departments, this is what this investor said, dude, each one of your department connects to your main vision somehow. So it's not they're just telling about that department, it is translating into your main vision. So I felt the beauty of having a founder's office, that there are a bunch of 5-6 smart people in the office, everybody holds each department and everybody comes up with their idea or thought process regarding any decision that being made in the company. Yes, because all of us are like, average age in my company is 22. I'm 25, so I don't have a business experience, and I'm okay to be said, the moment you are surrounded with yes men, it's a problem, right? So the moment with the founder's office, the advantage is you give that freedom to these people where they can come up here and throw your fucking up. So I think that's exactly what the kind of freedom that we have to give to the employees to stay for the longer term, is because they're equally valued as co-founder, they're equally famous as co-founder. And the moment they realize that, they'll be for a very long term as well.
Hi, my name is Hitendra. I run a agri-tech startup called Sagri-Tech. So my question is from all of you, like mostly Ravi, is very inspiring in terms of, he is literally selling ice pops and building big business in very competitive market in FMCG. So we have to acknowledge him really. So he's doing great. So how was your perspective before pitching in front of Shark Tank investors, and what was the major changes in which areas of your startup is what my question is. After pitching to the investors, you got they grind you, and then what was your perspective after the pitching, and what changes you made in what areas of your startup that became more beneficial for you?
I think by the way you started, I thought another ice pop brand is going to soon come in. Anyway, just on a light note, that was. During Shark Tank, obviously we had pitched about how the brand has been doing so far, where we try to project that we are one of the best products that they should be investing into, and we've got all things checkmarked and right. But honestly, after Shark Tank happened, I again say this, and please excuse me for saying this, but if we were not on Shark Tank, our business process would have been completely more in control, more focused, and we could have understood or realized कि आज मुझे तेलंगाना में launch करना है, कल मुझे महाराष्ट्र में launch करना है, third month I'll launch in the other states. But we did not have the privilege to think of that. After Shark Tank happened, we had to even increase our production capacity from 2,400 liters a day to 13,000 liters in a span of just 2 months. We had to increase our team size. We got a lot of complaints in terms of quality also, because when you're producing small, you can have control on the quality. And when suddenly it blasts off, the quality goes for toss. And people started to complain about our quality, a lot of issues were happening, leakages were happening, stuff like that. And I'm very open in saying this. यार पार्ले जी को complaints आते हैं तो हम क्या चीज़ है? Simple. So we were very bullish enough in accepting our mistakes also. So after Shark Tank, I think the entire idea of being very focused became very cemented with us, because we understood that our country loves the brand or the product, they want it, and if I do something like stupid, we are going to be the biggest, of the world. So we wanted to be very focused. Even today we say that God has given us an opportunity. Why do things wrong? We have to keep focusing on building a good brand. पैसे वैसे बाद में आते रहेंगे. Keep doing things right is what we continue to focus on. We made sure that no matter how much, first of all, our investors were very, very supportive. They did not disturb us. They let us do what we wanted to do. But our focus was very clear even from day one that हर पैसे के ऊपर एक पैसा बनना चाहिए. So we did not go into modern trade outlets. We avoided them because वहाँ पे पहले पैसे जाते, बाद में पैसे आते, मुझे पसंद नहीं है. So I focus on GT जहाँ पहले पैसे आते, बाद में पैसे जाते. So we wanted to keep our fundamentals very clear, and I think that is very important. Don't get carried away with the fame, glory, or the size of the scale that you're working on. Keep your fundamentals intact. Keep a check on yourself. Keep grounded. Try to have a check or ask third person in your family or friends, "Hey, भाई मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? कुछ गलत तो नहीं कर रहा हूँ?" Keep telling me a very honest opinion, and I think that will get things right for you. Very straightforward.
Hello, my name is Zaki. First of all, thank you founders for sharing your immense knowledge and experience from hiring to firing. My question would be to Ravi. before asking question, congratulations on the increased sales of 40 times, more than 40 times by now. I have three questions. First question would be, do you associate Skippy Ice Pops with ice cream industry? Asking so because we did not see any ice pop variant coming from Amul or Muscati or Havmor or anything else. This is the one part. Another part, how do you see the future of Skippy in terms of expanding its brand, entering new markets, or providing new products and services? And another one, have you ever thought of pushing customers towards your website to make purchases, or do you think it is more sustainable and feasible for you to have your customers buy from Amazon or any other e-commerce website? Thank you so much.
Do you work for a VC company? I'm answering my question से लग रहा है एक question का spot on.
I am a student of business analytics.
There you go. Generally business analysts ही ये questions पूछते हैं. We have been through that rounds. So there were a lot of questions honestly. The first thing is, we even though we are in the similar space of ice cream, but we do not compete directly with ice cream. Let's be honest, जिसको ice cream खाना है वो ice cream ही खाता है, जिसको ice pops खाना है वो ice pops ही खाता है. The difference is that ice pops people have had 2-3 of them in a single day. Ice creams you cannot have 2-3 in a day. Ice cream खाने के लिए पेट में जगह चाहिए, ice pops खाने के लिए जेब में पैसे भी नहीं चाहिए. 20 रुपए है. Ice pops का ice creams का average price point across India is 70 rupees, whereas our highest point is 20 rupees. So on the same context, since your second question was in terms of penetration, we are going to be, see, ice cream became a $2.4 billion category in a span of 22 years. I can bet you that ice pops will achieve that or even cross that within 10 years itself. So for simple two reasons. One is that the category itself is not based on any kind of a refrigeration. Imagine that I'm in 20,000 outlets and this is how I do my math, and a deep freezer costs me 10,000 rupees, and if I had to literally give freezers to every outlet, 200 crore तो मुझे सिर्फ फ्रिज खरीदने में रेस करना पड़ता, right? I don't want to do that. The reason why we are in every other store is because we are selling, distributing and retailing it at a liquid form in an ambient temperature itself. So we will penetrate ice cream industry much more faster than ice cream did. That is the reason why we are selling in Andaman Nicobar, where probably even a bigger brand like Amul did not even think of doing it for a lot of years. Now, answering the second part of your question, why did Amul or Quality Walls did not get into it? For उनके लिए बहुत छोटा business है भाई. बोलो, they won't even touch this business. For us, it is the business. They have probably not seen, and please don't record it, don't forward it to them. They probably have not understood the potential of where an ice pops industry or a category can grow. Whereas I have lived abroad and I've seen countries like Canada, UK, US, Australia having multi-billion-dollar ice pops brands over there, and वो लोग ठंडी में मरते रहते हैं लेकिन ice pops खा रहे हैं. And India is like a hot and humid country with 1.4 billion population. यहाँ पे 20-30 country का population यहाँ बैठा हुआ है. I know that very well. I can create a multi-million dollar brand, if not a billion brand, and the category will evolve. And just a little added to that context, a lot of people or even investors do ask us. It's not that I'm reaching out to investors, just being very clear. But when people reach out to us and say, "Bhai, what about competition? How are you going to sustain it all?" So that is how I look at it. Very positive attitude also. I hope I answered your questions. A new product, yeah. So Skippy has created a channel partner network. So we are now trying to be slowly evolving into being an FMCG player. Just to let you guys know, we're launching the Indian iconic flavor with Kala Katta, Jaljeera, Chili Guava, Aam Panna on Monday morning. We are the first brand who is actually, because somebody mentioned about iPhone and Samsung who do pre-bookings also. We are the first brand in the F&B space who is actually pre-booking the Indian iconic flavor, where customers have paid us 10 days back itself for the product to be shipped on 12th of June. And the pre-booking is still ongoing. You can look at our website. Sales pitch. I'll take that question offline. I think there are a lot of questions here.
Yeah.
I'm happy to answer that question for you.
We'll do one last question.
Hello guys, so first of all, lovely talk, really loved it. I think a lot of the talk, it was more focused on what helped you success in your with your product, and I think one of the major part of the journey is all about the failures and what you learn from it. So actually I would like to, I'm sure like most of you guys or all of you guys would have encountered times when it would have been a near-death experience for your enterprise. So, if you can share one of the biggest or one of your experiences, such experience, and what was the learning outcome from that?
We've had 1 death experience and 3 near-death experiences. So I think I can say a little bit about it. The most important thing to learn from that is just when you get knocked off your feet, you have to get up again next morning and get ready to fight for what you believe in. Simple. That resilience is the most important thing that you need to build as an entrepreneur, and that's the toughest quality that you need to have about it. And I think failures, that's the only thing failure teaches you, is how do you get better at what you do and how do you not give up on what you want to do.
Okay, we have a young lady sitting there. I'll let her ask the question. This is the last question for tonight. After this, we'll break up for networking. But before that, we'll do a group photo. So please stick around, guys. And when we do this photo, after the networking session, you can try out the bike that we have and the Skippy Pops that are available here. If you want photos from the session, please DM us on Instagram. Our handle is kokarma.in. Please follow us as well over there for any future events that you might want to attend. But Prachi, over to you for the last question.
Good evening. My name is Prachi. I have a question for you, Mr. Ravi. You have 6 sharks on board, and each shark has a different approach to how they want to go ahead, right? So how is it managing 6 different sharks? Essentially, a shark like Ashneer. Is it really difficult to handle it?
You were wondering how the Ashneer question didn't come so well.
Okay, switch off the cameras. I'll be very honest with you, and honest answer, Ashneer is a great guy. He really supports entrepreneurs. It's just that he's very word to word. He's number to number. If you don't know your numbers, you are going to get jacked, right? So he's very blunt in telling you that you're a fool. And you should be prepared to go and talk to him if you are happy to take that as a statement. Honestly, I've gone to his residence, spoke to him in length. I had created a great presentation and he said, yaar, aisa kaun si cheez hai presentation mein jo tujhe nahi pata. Chhod laptop, bol. That is the kind of guy you easily connect with, because he wants you to just say facts and figures up front. Whether aap loss kar rahe ho, acha kar rahe ho, doesn't matter. In terms of all the 6 sharks, to be honest, all of them have been very supportive. It's a very good statement, cliche also it might sound. But because they knew that what we were doing, I know that Anupam told me this in one of his earlier events, that Ravi, we have given up on you, we have left you alone, because I think you guys know what you're doing. So we have just tried to focus and give our contribution to those startups who need us much more than you. But again, having said that, whenever I wanted to borrow their thoughts, I had just had to drop a simple WhatsApp message, and they would either get on an online call in the next 1 or 2 days, or I was happy to go to Delhi to their residences. I've gone to Piyush, Ashneer, Aman, name it, and I've met all the sharks in their residences or office, and they were so nice enough to give us the time. That is all we need as a startup. We don't want them to tell us how to run our own business. And that has been immense. Ashneer has supported us, Anupam has supported us, Vinita has supported us. So all the sharks have been fantabulous. But the catch here is that you need to really work harder. I mean, they will not be spending on a startup which has already given up hopes. If they see that you have the fire in you, you are really driving the startup, then they will want to associate with you. If you have already given up, then there's nothing that they can help you with as well. So that's the plain, honest answer I can give you. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. Can we have one last round of applause for everyone? Thanks to you all as well for sitting around and taking out time. You guys make the ecosystem that we have in Hyderabad now. So please come closer, or we want all of you in the photograph. Tarun, our friend, will sort of take a nice group photo. So please come closer, guys.
We can go this way.
Yes.